Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Boxer Boxing. Nah, man, with the destruction and the loss, the fall of the giant, the Goliath, UK's next big thing, Anthony Joshua getting dominated in the 12-round decision by undefeated superstar boxer, undisputed cruiserweight champion, now the WBO, IBF, WBA unified heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk, man. Usyk completely dominated Anthony Joshua, man, in a 12-round fight, man. I had it 8 rounds to 4. Alexander Usyk, you could have had it wider if you're being, if you really thought Usyk really put it on AJ. I thought Anthony Joshua was, he was getting wobbled a lot, man. Everything that Usyk landed was wobbling him, and he didn't look too well in that fight. He was just getting beat to the punch. He made adjustments, but all I gotta say is the Usyk rounds were more dominant than the Anthony Joshua rounds. You know, Anthony Joshua was only really able to land one punch at a time, and Alexander Usyk, when he felt like, okay, that punch was nice, he danced around the ring. Now, all that being said, man, was Anthony Joshua overrated, or was Alexander Usyk underrated? And I think it's a style matchup, man. Alexander Usyk, when you got to heavyweight, it wasn't a good look. That Witherspoon fight, he didn't look too great in that fight against a fundamentally sound fighter in Witherspoon, and with the 2-week notice. And Derek Chisora fight, I mean, the first 4 rounds, Derek Chisora was just completely bullying Alexander Usyk to the point where, Alexander Usyk couldn't really fight him in the inside. He had to really move around the ring and just not engage with Chisora because he was so aggressive, right? And that was one of Chisora's best performances, I believe. That was a really good performance from Derek Chisora. With that being said, man, those 2 performances, Alexander Usyk, people were thinking the guy had no chance to beat Anthony Joshua. And man, were they wrong. Before this fight, man, my last video was talk about Alexander Usyk possibly beating Vladimir Klitschko in Legacy, right? That was my last video. Now, I've never made a prediction about who was going to win the fight. Me personally, I thought it was a 50-50 fight. I thought Alexander Usyk on paper is actually a Tyson Fury 2.0. He's everything Tyson Fury should be. A guy who takes his craft seriously, a guy who takes the sport of boxing seriously, right? Really plays around, but is true to the craft. He doesn't really play boxing. He's really serious about his craft, right? Alexander Usyk has the same character as Tyson Fury with the playing and the games, but he takes it seriously. And plus he's a smaller fighter. He's more technically sound. He doesn't really blow up in weight as far as Tyson Fury does. He'll gain like a massive amount of weight, and it's just, if Tyson Fury had the work ethic of Alexander Usyk, he'd be a much more dangerous fighter. With all that being said, man, I had the fight going 50-50 into this fight, and at the end of the day, man, I do think that Alexander Usyk was a little bit underrated. But at the same time, now that he beat Anthony Joshua, I think the people are getting a little carried away with how he ranks in the heavyweight division. Every time Anthony Joshua loses to a top heavyweight fighter, you can't just throw the guy and say, oh, this guy's the, top 5 best, heavyweight fighter now. And, this could be, Andy Ruiz, for example, right? When he beat Anthony Joshua, he was on no one's radar. But now he's on everyone's top pound for pound list or top 10 list for heavyweights, right? He was on no one's list before that. Alexander Usyk, the same thing. I mean, that Derek Chisora fight, you could still look at that fight, and if you didn't know, and if you still didn't see Anthony Joshua fight, there's no way you could put this guy on a top 10 list for heavyweights. No one has Derek Chisora in their top 10 heavyweight list. I think it's Alexander Usyk looked good against Anthony Joshua, but I think he's just waiting to run into the wrong kind of style, which is really an aggressive fighter who lets their hands go to give Alexander Usyk problems, right? I think a fight that would give him trouble would be like a Chris Arreola, right? Chris Arreola, when he fought Adam Kanaki, they both threw like the most punches in heavyweight history in a heavyweight title fight. Really aggressive fighters, let their hands go. They have a solid chin, and they can give Usyk all kind of problems, if not beat him, in my opinion. And this is, my boy Chris Arreola is old. He's like in his 40s, and he still has this kind of stamina. This is not even a prime Arreola, but we've seen what he did to Andy Ruiz. And that being said, man, Alexander Usyk, his knees are running into the wrong one. a really aggressive fighter or a fighter that's similar to him in style, like a Luis King Kong Ortiz. So, you know, getting the titles is only part of the struggle of being the heavyweight king. It's really defending the titles. So I do think that Alexander Usyk was a good style matchup for him against Anthony Joshua because they're both technically sound, right? Alexander Usyk's a better technically sound fighter than Anthony Joshua. The reason why Anthony Joshua, people thought he was going to win is because he's so much bigger than Alexander Usyk. People thought he'll physically impose himself on Usyk, but Anthony Joshua doesn't know how to fight it inside and lean on people and use his weight to his advantage as far as bullying people, right? Inside fighting, there's no such thing as a clean inside fighter, right? If you're an inside fighter, you gotta get dirty at some point. It's just what it is in boxing. Anthony Joshua does not fight like that. That's not his style. So that being said, you know, it's just a bad style matchup for AJ. He didn't have a inside fighting dog moment. You know, he didn't have that with Usyk. But, you know, with that being said, you know, he did land some clean shots. He just wasn't able to close the distance on Usyk to really impose himself on him, right? But Anthony Joshua, man, was he overrated? I just don't know, man. We gotta see how good Alexander Usyk really is. We gotta see what he's gonna do at heavyweight, because this could be another Andy Ruiz moment for all we know. We don't know how Usyk's gonna do with the heavyweight division. Yes, he beat Anthony Joshua, but the other wins weren't good looking. And let's keep it a buck. Andy Ruiz, it's like completely opposite. It's crazy stuff. Andy Ruiz never really struggled against anyone outside of the Chris Arreola fight. You know, he walked through all these heavyweights. I thought he beat Justin Parker pretty easily. Alexander Usyk struggled with everyone but beat Anthony Joshua easily. So yeah, we still gotta see, man. We still gotta see. Anyway, man, I think that Usyk could be overrated. Anthony Joshua, I think it's just a bad style matchup. Style-wise, he's gonna get technically beaten by Alexander Usyk because he's not a technical fighter. I don't think that he's underrated. I think he's just overrated. I mean, he's not overrated. I think he's underrated. He's just fighting a technically sound fighter, and people aren't giving Usyk the technically sound credentials they should give him. So yeah, man, it's not that Usyk's not a great fighter. It's just the size difference that's really getting people. Anyway, man, I thought we'd talk about the overrated, underrated thing. Who's underrated, who's overrated. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geoboxing Empire. Peace. Geoboxing.